Hello, my name is Brandy Hofer, your host of the Color Me Happy podcast. I am so glad you're here. I appreciate your time. Thank you so much. If you want more weekly content just like this, be sure to like and subscribe to our channel. We cannot wait for you to be a part of our community here, and you can join our free community on Facebook. It is about empowering your community through your creativity, and we want you to be there. I am Brandy. I am a Canadian artist, author, mother, and educator, obviously podcaster, because I'm here chatting with you right now. We talk about on the podcast everything from scaling your business from 0 to 6 figures, motherhood, lots of women's health, very unfiltered conversations there. We have on some extremely amazing guests. I don't even know how I talked to them really, but they said yes. And we want to talk about we want to empower you. We want to talk about those things. We want to empower you to reach out to people who you never thought you'd talk to, ask for opportunities that you never thought you'd get, because we want you to see your everyday as extraordinary, just as we have. We shifted from being like this ho-hum kind of victim complaining kind of person with terrible money mindset, really bad, hiding like money mindset books under my, like waddling around pregnant, hiding my mindset book, money mindset book, being ashamed of wanting money. But the thing about that is that if you want to grow, if you want to expand, if you want the life that you live, that's one of the things you need that will help you along your way. And then you'll inspire others to do the same. It'll be a really cool journey. So come along with us, and we cannot wait. If you have any questions, feel free to reach out on Instagram at Brandy Hofer Studios anytime. I'm happy to chat. That's where I sit. And I'm so glad you're here, and I cannot wait for you to dive in. So give us a like and subscribe. Welcome to Color Me Happy podcast. My name is Brandy Hofer, your host. Thank you so much for being here. I sure do appreciate your time. We are in full swing summer. I hope you are all having a wonderful, wonderful summer vacation, hopefully. We hit Montreal. We took our sketchbooks along the way. That was cool. So if you're working in your sketchbooks on the sketchbook project, this summer seems to be flying by, and it's busy. So we haven't been as much, but I can't wait to get back into the swing of it this week, and this weekend, because I just finished a mural. So make sure you're sharing what you're creating in our free Color Me Happy community. I'm very excited. I want to talk about this mural for a second. Amy asked us, Amy Roper, who was talking with Jill from Red Bicycle Communications. And by the way, this is how you get jobs. You talk to people, you reach out in your community, you ask for opportunities, and it just kind of works out in this really cool way. Jill's actually from Red Bicycle Communications. She's the founder of and CEO of Red Bicycle Communications, and she was the reason I got my first mural. So it's very cool since like 2018 when I did my first one to come full circle to this moment of working with Amy Roper in the community garden space, which is the space next to Red Bicycle Communications, which they have lent for the community garden, and then we muraled their building. So it was just a super project. It was neat to see the community interacting with the space. So I like the fact that this project, and I love community projects because they mean more than just putting paint on the wall. They affect people's lives. So I always think of like, why am I doing this? And why am I starting an online community? Why am I doing online education? Why do I have a podcast? Why do I want these big projects to be more than that? And it's because it gives me purpose, and it gives me hope for revitalizing community and creating spaces for people, because I want people to sit in their everyday, see their everyday ordinary is extraordinary, like our book. I want people to actually experience magic in their lives. And I think as creatives, you're probably a creative if you're here, we do have this sense of magic and purpose and in our lives, and we kind of see the world in a different way through like wonder and awe. We have like these really fun glitter goggles almost in the way we see life. Like I feel like we feel things more So things can be really hard, but things can also be really wonderful. So use your wonder and your awe and your glitter goggles and impact your world and your life and your everyday the best way you can. So thank you for being here. Tune in as we chat with Michelle from Saskatoon, another artist who took on murals. She took our mural class. So if you're into that, she really loved it. You can see her testimonial. I'll tag it below actually, and you can see it in the notes. And yeah, check out that mural class. Michelle loved it, and she started putting that into her practice, and it helped her support her creativity and her career. So yeah, thanks for being here, friends. If you have any questions, feel free to reach out anytime at Brandy Hofer Studios on Instagram, and keep enjoying summer. There it goes. Here, welcome, Michelle. Thank you for being here. Have we met in person yet?
I don't think we've met in person yet. I feel like I know you because I've watched many of your podcasts and your training videos, but
is that just it? It's just I've watched so many of your content. I just feel like we've met before.
I mean, funny thing, I don't know if you recall this, but back in like 2012,
we talked on the phone.
We talked on the phone. That's true. Yeah, back in 2012, our art was in the same gallery together. And this was the Steam for the Home Gallery in Saskatoon. I don't know if you remember.
I remember I had I called it Wild or something, maybe.
Yeah.
That was so long ago.
Yeah, my name was different back then. It was before I got married. It was under Michelle Thevenot back then. But yeah, so our art was in the same gallery. I don't think you were there at the reception though, but I remember seeing your art there, and yeah, that's where our first paths crossed, I think.
Yeah. So you remember names. Are you one of those people who remembers names?
Not as much,
really?
But I remember your artwork left an impression on me, and you were around the same age as me. So I was like, oh, cool. This is another gal who's around my age. And
trying to make it work.
Trying to make it work. So
I'm sorry, I'm like snapping out of, I've been up since 6 and we've been recording our Diversify Your Creative Income book, which is great because obviously from 2012 to now, God, we're making no money as a creative too, thriving. And we only got like a quarter way through our content. So I'm like trying to shift from like the mind of like teaching the workbook I've been like working on every morning, and then seeing your beautiful face.
Yeah, so a little bit of a transition in your headspace. That's okay.
Yeah. But I'm excited because yes, you have taken our mural course and portrait as well.
Creating with the kids one. Yeah, for sure. I've taken a few of your classes and really enjoyed all of them. And I just love that it's, I don't know, very honest and open. It's not super structured. It's just your personality, your energy that you bring to it.
It works for some people, not all.
I'm more of a go with the flow person. I tried doing the art classes in university, and sometimes it was like too rigid for me. I wanted to just.
It's hard to pay attention.
Yeah.
It's hard to be engaged. Sorry. Like I find like structured education very hard to stay engaged. And that's what I work very hard in like teaching young people and teaching. Well, actually, I don't work really hard at it. It's the only way that I can do it because I'll get bored. I want to talk about you. So do you have your like formal education as an artist then?
I went to the University of Saskatchewan, and the plan was to get an education degree, and my major was visual arts. So I took a fair share of painting and drawing classes while I was there. And it seemed like the practical way at the time. It's like, well, it's hard to make a living as an artist, but this is a way I can still do art and have a reliable income with it. And at that point, still being quite young and not as self-aware of my own inner workings, I got to the internship and I found that I burnt out immediately out of teaching, and it wasn't going to be a right fit for me. I got the degree though. I finished the thing. I got the piece of paper.
I think that there's nothing wrong, and we actually just talked about this in the course. Because Shannon has her like masters in 3 different things, and a lot of them are education. And I don't think there's anything wrong with an education background. There's so much value in the things that you learn and your abilities as an educator to have those what's the word? Have those be able to benefit you in your future endeavors in any career path that you take. You will take the tools that you learned there. I think it's probably better to have an education degree than an art degree if we're talking about art business.
That's fair enough. You know, I agree with you there. It's pretty broad, and they have you studying all sorts of subject matter, as well as if I found that benefited me most is learning about tactics of teaching students or even adult learners. And I apply that to myself. So I'm more of a self-taught, like independent learner. So I love doing like online courses and self-directed stuff. So I'll apply that knowledge to myself and help me advance my own career and my own learning through my space.
Mm-hmm. Have you always, so Michelle creates these wooden sculptures. Is that how you like, was that what you were?
Wood sculpture for sure.
Wood sculpture. Have you always done like a combination of wood sculpture and painting?
No, actually wood sculpture was fairly new. My background is primarily acrylic painting for about 20 years. And so I picked it up in high school, middle school ages, and I started getting into a few local community shows and selling some pieces and commissions. And through university years, that was definitely where my focus was. And then I felt kind of drawn. I didn't want to work on 2-dimensional anymore. At a certain point, I was trying to get off the canvas and sculpt the canvas and bring in texture. And so really fascinated with texture and 3-dimensionality. So at one point I just kind of got burnt out and like, oh, I'm not really making much progress with painting. Felt kind of frustrated with a few exhibitions and nothing sold. So took a break for a bit and then started off.
It does break your heart, but yeah, it's kind of the reality of, and I never want to like, I never lie to creatives. Like if you like work hard and create a collection, it's not necessarily going to sell. Even if you're at a gallery or like, I only know like a handful and an actual handful of artists who are doing that model and making it work and succeeding in that realm of, you know, I make this painting and this painting will sell. And not only that is that it's a huge like trading your time for money, which isn't very sustainable. Right. And heartbreaking. It's hard to like, I went for definitely same. Well, like you said, we had an exhibition together at the same time in 2012. Like it's like a long time of doing exhibitions and not like this work sells eventually. It's just, it's hard at the time to, you know, pour $15,000 into supplies and time and all that stuff and framing and launch your show and like sell 1 or 2 pieces. And it's just not a sustainable thing to say that it's going to art, like, and to encourage artists to go down that route. But so you went into wood sculpture and that kind of expanded things for you?
Yeah, I felt it was time to diversify things a little bit, try something new. And it started off, I got taken a trip to BC and saw a bunch of chainsaw carvings, and I was really inspired by it, but also really intimidated by it because I thought, oh my gosh, I can't really wrap my brain around how this happens. It seems super dangerous. But it just kind of planted the seed.
It does. I don't know how. I was like, I'm going to get this chainsaw and go for it.
Yeah, and I had never operated a chainsaw before. I had limited power tool experience, but I really wanted to do it. So I was looking in the backyard one day and there's a dead tree in the bushes back there and it was kind of ugly. And I thought, oh, I just want to deal with it. So I went out and I picked up the chainsaw. I'm like, what am I going to do with this? I don't know how to use it. I read the manual. I put on safety gear and I went out there and I took a tree down. And then from a part of that the logs from that tree, I saved a little portion of it and carved a little bear cub from it. So that was my first carving. It was pretty rustic looking, but it was also inspiring. And that's kind of, I felt like, okay, I could probably improve on this. I like it. Let's try it. And it just kind of expanded from there with bigger and bigger pieces.
You pushed past your fear.
Yes.
You
yeah,
didn't
it was
know
really
how to do something
empowering.
and you learned along the way.
Yeah.
That's like the biggest leap that most people need to take, right?
Mhm.
You had no idea how to run a chainsaw, right?
YouTube's a great place for just tutorials too, where you know, you figure it out as you go along. And yeah, it can be
led to an empowering experience that
for
changed
sure.
your life.
It did. And for about that was definitely my focus for about 5 years, is power carving, chainsaw carving. I think that's what really skyrocketed my following online and just gave me some traction in my
you look badass.
it's kind of badass.
Yeah.
And it defies some I guess stereotypes of what women are doing or what people normally see with people with chainsaws. And I guess there's an entertainment factor there for some people too. It's like, this is so unusual. And it was entertaining for people to watch that too. Yeah. And it just kept going. I got some sponsorships from some tool companies and they sent me tools because they thought it made great content, and that always helps. So, but recently,
yes, I will take free stuff. Yeah.
Yes, it always feels good to get that validation and support for sure. But I did last year. I did a pretty big sculpture. It was more of like a self-directed piece. It was called a Guardian of a Horse. It's more of a fantasy-inspired life-size deer.
I love that piece. Yeah.
Yeah, and then I collaborated with Rob Youngs, who is a metal artist in Melfort, Saskatchewan, and he created these fantastical antlers that they're made out of metal and they grow up and look like tree branches with stainless steel leaves. It's gorgeous. So really big piece. And that took a lot of my energy that year. And I thought, okay, put it out into the world and hopefully someone falls in love with it. It was the passion piece. Unfortunately, I mean, it's shown in a few places and it's still kind of like traveling around. There's opportunities there, but it hasn't quite connected with the buyer like I would hope it would.
It will.
Yeah.
It will. It's a gorgeous piece. It's like, and there's so much power in collaboration. And that's the thing. You do have to have some patience. And when you don't rely solely on your art sales, then like in the one stream, then it's not so much pressure, I think, on your creativity. Yeah. So you started adding, I know your story. You started adding in murals as one of, because if you like physicality, if you like, that public art piece, that it was an easy transition for you to go into mural work.
Yeah. Yeah. With the sculptures, it was fun to do, but it was more for like online entertainment for people. And I found it really challenging to like shipping and whatnot. So I thought, what else can I do here to expand my income and diversify a little bit? So when I started hearing about your mural class, I was really intrigued. I'd only done one mural in my life before. It was back when I was in high school and I had some guidance. It probably wasn't very good. But I thought, oh, let's get back into that. I could get back into that. So it's still large scale. I love moving my body to when I'm creating. And the challenge of something big and impactful is something that resonates in me. So yeah, murals, I've done a few of them in the past year and I'm loving it. It's lots to learn still. And as I go, it's definitely a physical challenge and a mental challenge to balance all that project.
Tell me about the most recent mural you did, the hockey one.
Okay, so
how did that happen?
Yeah, that was my mural commission from a local family. And the story goes that their daughter was banned from playing hockey in their local communities due to some gender rights in a co-ed hockey team. And they were trying to advocate for equality and got pushed back and excluded. there's a long story, some legal stuff behind it, but that's kind of
Oh
the
my
long
gosh, that's
short of it.
yeah.
So they were trying to tell their story and advocate for equality for girls in hockey. It's a little bit out of my realm, but I do believe in making a public statement for good causes and advocating for girl power. So I was like, yeah, let's go down. I want to help you guys out. So let's do this. And I painted a mural. It is, oh gosh, let's see if I remember, like 8 feet tall, 32 feet long. And it's on aluminum composite panels.
That's huge.
Yeah, it's, for me, it was the biggest one I've done. So, because it was towards the end of September, it was starting to freeze out overnight. And we thought, oh, I don't know if I can paint the building outside. Let's do it on panels. And so I set up a giant easel in my shop, indoor workshop.
And those actually last the longest. Let's talk about that process. I just ran into Kim at the paint spot in Edmonton. I was passing through on my way to, I got flown out by Discover Saskatoon, but I was passed to St. John for a project, but I flew out of Edmonton because it was a shorter flight. So, and I'm in the middle in Lloydminster. So I get to choose Saskatoon or Edmonton all the time, which is great because I have friends in both places. So I got to see Kim at the paint spot, and she said comparatively to, and she wants me to do a workshop in Edmonton for murals, but with them. But she said in her experience with what they've installed in Edmonton is after a decade or so, the ones on the walls aren't lasting, but her composite, did I say it? It's composite, right?
Yeah, aluminum composite.
I personally haven't used it yet. So
I think you would
I'm
like
really
it.
Curious about it, but she says those have, like, the only downside of that is if you throw something at it, it will dent.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah,
which is
like
in a public art realm a concern, but hopefully people aren't hucking stuff at your building. Right? Or running into it. You have to think about parking too, like above the part where the people can run into it with their vehicles.
For sure.
Right?
Yeah.
So aluminum composite, which you can get at any hardware store, right? Like or Home Depot?
I didn't find it at the hardware store. I went to a sign making supply shop. So they supply businesses that make signs with the materials they need to do that. So that's where I found it.
Was it expensive?
No, don't quote me. Prices change all the time, but when I purchased them, they were about $100 a panel, and they're 4 feet by 8 feet each.
That's insane.
It's way cheaper than a canvas, even. Like
just switch.
Yeah, I was considering it. You can cut them down to size if you wanted. If you can find but they're pretty thin, so they're kind of heavy. You'd need to put some sort of like reinforcing on the back.
So how did you install them onto the wall?
Yeah, my husband.
I'm such a geek. I'm just like, break it down for me.
Luckily, my husband, he works in construction, and he specializes in metal buildings and metal trims. So he was my install expert to help me out with that part. The surface of the building that we were installing it on was corrugated metal siding. So it's not flat, and which was a challenge. But what we ended up doing is buying these trim bars that were kind of like almost like a U shape or an L shape bent. And we screwed them onto the building in a couple rows to make sure, and we could only screw it where there was secure spots to hang onto the building.
Right.
And then once those support bars were on the building, then we screwed the panels of the mural onto those bars. And then once it was hanging there, and we used laser levels to make sure everything was nice and straight. And then just to finish off the edges, we had a trim piece, a nice little black frame piece that just kind of slid around the edges, and put some foam closure in between so it doesn't rattle in the wind.
Oh, look at you go.
Yeah. So
you put what? Foam?
Yeah, there's like a little strip of foam, like a really thin piece of foam that comes on a roll. And we just tucked it in between the metal panels and the trim that goes around the edges of it. It's hard to, it's kind of like a little U shape that just kind of like cups the edge of the panel. So this is the panel, and it just kind of like hangs onto the edge. And then we put
Oh.
some foam in between. We were worried it's a very windy spot, so if those panels rattle around at all and wiggle, it could make some noise. Maybe it's fine, I found, but
Yeah.
it's just a
Oh, so
softener.
you put like a trim on the edge of the whole
Yeah,
thing too.
yes, the trim around the outside edge of the finished mural. Yeah.
What
Like a
kind
frame.
of trim?
It was a custom metal trim. So he sourced it out through it was a metal supplier that made custom metal trims for buildings. And then we put that around the edges as a nice little picture frame.
I was curious as the material breakdown. I was like, I hope Michelle tells me how it all worked. It sounds like a lot of work, and you definitely like if you don't know how to do something too, you can always hire an expert.
For sure, yeah. And then for installers, like I'm lucky I had someone who wasn't kind of an expert in that field to help with it. But if not, I think it would be very valuable to have an installer that specializes in outdoor metal siding.
Stuff.
Would be an asset for sure.
And a sign store would be the perfect place to look for that sort of person. Yeah, because if the learning curve is, you're gonna wreck a building.
It was a little nerve-wracking.
But there is a positive about installing in panels, and never install on MDF or plywood because your mural is not gonna last over 5 years.
I know.
And that's just sad. And
it's heartbreaking.
Working on the aluminum composite, no matter how you figure out how to hang it up, which might be unique for each person.
Yeah, there's for sure.
There's like little weird, those silver things too that you can adhere to the wall and then you screw. I think a lot of people use that spacer thing.
Yeah.
You know what I'm talking about? There might be a real name for it somewhere.
Yeah.
But the benefit of it is you worked on it in your studio, right?
Yes. I was able to work in a temperature and dust controlled environment indoors. And as long as you have this indoor space to work on it, it does take a little bit of prep work ahead of time just to set that up. And because I wanted to have them all lined up and you could shuffle them around, but when I was projecting images on it, I wanted it to be like the transitions to line up just so. So I had a bigger space to work and I had them all leveled out on the wall, just so I could see it all together rather than shuffling panels around.
Well, you could scratch and dent them if you were moving them around a lot.
The more handling, the more risk, right? So
did you coat them with anything?
Yes. So the prep work to start with, I found, because let's start with prep work first, and then we can go to coating it.
Did you know that's what this podcast would be about? No, I'm just kidding. It's fine. I'll actually probably put it in the mural course if you don't mind.
For sure.
I think it's important information for people to know.
Yeah. So the prep work on there, they come with a plastic sheet coating that you peel off, like a stretch wrap. So peeling that off, and then it's a white painted surface on the top, which is really glossy. And I thought, well, it's probably not going to adhere to paint very well. So I did a light sanding on all of them. And then wipe them down with alcohol and a microfiber cloth to make sure all the dust is gone. And then from there, I was really anxious about paint adhesion. So I did some paint tests on them just to make sure the paint was going to stick. So I was just doing a little test paint spot and then let it dry. And I took an X-Acto knife or a utility knife, just did some cross hatching on it, put some tape on it and pull it off really fast. And if you lose a bunch of paint, it's probably not adhering very well. If most of it stays on, looks pretty good to me. So I found I did have to prime them I used Bullseye, like 1, 2, 3 primer on those, and that stuck pretty well.
Yeah, primer is pretty. We were air blasting that mural, the stucco. I got a paint sprayer because I was like, this is 3,000 square feet. Yeah. I need to invest in a sprayer.
Yeah.
Right? Like I'm not rolling this building. And it's funny, I didn't walk into that project being like, I needed a sprayer. We'll just roll it because I have a team. And then I was like, we need one. There's no way we're going to get anywhere rolling.
For sure.
And so I ended up getting one. And I think it was the primers only finished part of it. And then they got called off somewhere, like our sponsor for priming the wall, because that's not a part of my service that I offer is like getting your wall ready for a
Yeah.
mural. Like that's, you hire someone
For
to
sure.
do that. Like I don't like industrial painting. It's not my favorite, right?
Not the glorious. For sure.
No, like, but this was a very special project.
Yeah.
And so I was with it from start to finish, fundraising, meetings, everything. So it was my baby basically. And so I was a part of that process, is improving the wall because it was like 40 years old. So making sure that paint stuck to the wall was a big deal. And part of what you should look into beforehand anyway, like you did test strips and stuff, but primers, yeah, we were blasting primer into the wind and it got on our bodies and we were like, we need the suits now because this, it wouldn't wash off our body.
Yeah.
And like hair, sunglasses, yeah. So primer sticks. But I'm glad it sticks.
Yeah, the primer definitely was a good option for these panels. And I had spoke to another mural artist locally that works on them, and they suggested primer as well. And I used outdoor rated latex paint on it for colors, a little bit of golden acrylics just for some certain colors, and I put some metallic accents in spots. And
yeah, there's limitations with exterior paint. It's not too bad.
Yeah. And then
for
sealing it afterwards, the client said, yeah, we really want to have some extra protection. It's a south-facing wall, lots of sun exposure, and they were very adamant they wanted it sealed. So I did my research trying to find something that was appropriate. I went with Mural Shield for the first try, and they recommend to spray it. Great, I have a sprayer, but then I came in and I realized I need a special acetone rated sprayer for it, so I had to go out and buy another sprayer.
It's like oil based.
It's acetone based, and it's sort of, it can be extra flammable, and you need like a special like metal or a special type of plastic container to use as a spray.
Oh yeah.
And it worked okay. I mean, it kind of left like an eggshelly finish on it. It wasn't bad, but yeah, in future, the more I'm hearing about it, sometimes some people say you don't need to coat them.
I know. It's like more, it's getting frustrating. And I took off the course, the Sherwin-Williams.
Oh, I've used that.
Yeah.
It's a stick.
And they won't get back to me. So you know what? I'm going to not protect them at all. It's the worst fucking product of all time. I don't even know how it's on the market. Number one, it's a huge carcinogen, very toxic. Number two, it doesn't go with our climate. So like dust. Dust and other muralists. And I wish Thomas, and I'm going to message him again to take it off of YouTube, that he has that or fix it or put like a thing out, because that's the reason I use it. I saw another muralist using it, and you're like, if they're using it and they're professional artists and they're huge muralists in the world, you're going to use the same products as them because they're saying it works, right? So that was the big thing, and that's your research. You're like, I looked into this. You can do a test strip. Test strips in the future would be great, but Sherwin-Williams, what is it called?
Anti-graffiti coating. I think that's what
coating and marine coating or something like that. Have you tried the World's Best or the Vandal Guard?
The World's Best, I think that's part of the umbrella for the Mural Shield that I used on the most recent one. That one was better, but still pretty stinky.
Still not great.
And the application was spray, and it was like kind of like one of those pump sprayers like you use in the yard. That's the kind of sprayer that I had to buy for that, and it worked okay.
Which is not expensive, so that's okay.
The only thing was that I think it was like $200 because it had to be the
good one,
acetone rated one.
Yeah.
But anyway, extra.
That's still a lot. Yeah. Vandal Guard, I don't think gives like the, you know, whatever extended, like this will last for that many years. But if your client's insisting on that, like a graffiti coating, then I think the Vandal Guard one is the way to
Yeah.
go. It seems I did a test strip because I was like, I'm never using this other shit again. I'm so mad. I'm so mad at them. I'm so mad at them. It was so expensive.
It was.
And like to have your like mural dirty is like really frustrating. So I'm still researching a solution, which but it does work for it. Nothing's going on that mural except for the dust.
Yes. If you
It
better
does
pressure wash
protect.
them off regularly. That's the caveat.
Yeah. Yeah.
Did it
So
on I
it
did
is
a mural
life lesson.
for sure. Yeah.
But Kevin
I did
Lito says you don't need a thing. Murals don't need a thing. And he's like, it's exterior paint. It's gonna last a really long time.
the valid point. Yeah.
Yeah. So even graffiti proofing the bottom where people can reach
Mhm.
if it's a big one.
Yeah.
Do your research and do test strips. I didn't do the test strip. It is what it is. And you just kind of have to let go, and you're like, it is graffiti proof, and that's what we agreed on.
Yep. Check that box for them, right?
We checked it hard.
Yeah.
You know, people understand that too. In Leominster, we live in a very dirty area.
Yeah.
Right? Like, and it's just dusty, and the building was dusty regardless. So, but I will go back and I will get it washed probably. And we're doing an east side of that project in 2025. We're working on it. Yeah. So I have more knowledge, and maybe I can miss something over the other one while I'm doing the other one. And maybe it'll kind of help it. If not, it just is what it is. And
Yeah.
my husband was right. And he reminds me all the time. He's like, those one coat things, or because we own Windsor Plywood, so a hardware store. He's like, those one coat things always promise stuff, but it never pays off. I was like, shut up.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I guess,
So, sorry, go ahead.
yeah. I used that that particular Sherwin-Williams product. It was a first try for coating on a mural. It was on a shipping container for my husband's construction company.
You followed my course.
Yeah, it was the first big mural project. It was a tryout in a safe environment because it was for a family business. And it was going into a construction site, which is very dusty and very dirty all the time. And yeah, it definitely magnets the dirt, unfortunately.
I'm sorry.
Yeah. Well, you know what? We didn't know until we tried it. Aside from that, I would say it does help to protect it.
It does. It's really
garbage.
Protective.
Yeah.
It's really protective.
You just might have to wash it often.
Yeah. Yeah. I think it's good for different environments. We just live in a very dirty, like we live in the plains, and there's no hills.
Yeah.
So,
and if you think about it, they call it a marine coating. If you did a mural next to the ocean, where the salty sprays coming up, that would probably be a great coating to have to help protect the paint.
Yeah. They weren't thinking about us in Saskatchewan.
Maybe we're just good with paint here.
Yeah. So have you found adding murals into your repertoire? Well, we bored everyone. If they're not a mural painter, they weren't engaged in that conversation at all. I'll put a disclaimer. Mural talk.
Yeah.
Mural talk. Shop talk. Was that a really big expander for you creatively?
It was a big expander, and I would still say I'm growing into that realm. I hope to do more murals in the next year. And as one person, I'm not working with a team very much of the people. It's just a one person. I'm just slowly expanding into it as I can. I have other business in my life too, so it's a time constraint of how much I can take on. But it did help last year. The hockey mural commission helped significantly in my overall part-time art income. It was probably a pretty dismal year to start with before that because of circumstances in the economy and just a slowdown of art sales in general. But the mural definitely helps in a big way because those are bigger contract amounts. And yeah, it's a lot of work, but at the end, it should be worth it. I would say I would hope in the future to price it a little bit differently as I'm learning how much work's involved, but
Yeah.
it's part of the
Yeah.
process.
Yeah, they definitely are. Like you have to, the pricing I give in the class is pretty good. I asked other muralists at this festival I was at what they were charging, and I was like, that is not enough.
Yeah.
Like for the amount of work that goes into installing, and then of course if you're coating them and using the right if you're using all the right materials to make it last the longest and have the best quality mural, it's expensive.
Yeah.
And so people and the client, you need to never undervalue yourself. Like you need to explain like this is why, or you don't need to explain, but that's your price and that's one of the reasons why, and you know that, and the right clients will definitely come your way. Of course, with interiors, it's a different price because most of the time it's just interior paint and it's not so, it's a quicker install, I guess one could say, depending on the design. The design too. If it's very complex, like one of your animal painting designs, like that's going to take a really long time
For
to paint.
sure. Yeah.
Right?
I found that it's a challenge to when you're thinking on larger scale to be more strategic about the design on what you can create in an efficient time manner. It's a different process than painting on a canvas or paper in your studio, for sure.
Yeah. I had a lot of paint at this one fest and I was like, I'm going to make a big painting. Of course, I was the last to finish because I knew it going into it. But yeah, you have to consider it like, more of a digital design with like flatter colors and not like, with your wolf behind you, like fur.
Yeah.
Like you're not
and there's like
getting
17 layers
like
of
maybe
paint.
that's one part of your mural and the rest is like text and swooshes.
Yeah.
Right?
Sure. Keep it
Line
simple.
work.
Yeah.
Yeah, a lot of factors you have to consider, but it's a great expander for another extra service you can offer and depend on. And of course, the install is like quicker. Like you're like, I have 10 days for this mural, and that's all we're doing, and then you get paid, right?
Yeah.
Or you get paid half before and half after, whatever you work out. I would say get paid before.
Maybe half and half. That would be good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, yes, before, it depends, but just get paid first, at least most of it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But to answer your question,
client.
Yes, I do feel it has expanded my income earnings significantly in the past year, especially since I really only started it in the later half of last year with the murals. It made a big difference. And a couple of them, one was for myself and one was for my husband's business. So those ones were kind of just practice runs for me, but
your portfolio, it's building
your portfolio building. Yeah.
Yeah.
For sure. So
even trading like little businesses, you're like, I traded one business for clothes. I was like, I'll have a $2,500 gift card for your little mural, and it was a great
great.
Yeah, like because I was building my portfolio, right? Really important.
Yeah.
What's next for you in your year? What are your goals for this year?
This year I working on a lot of back into smaller scale paintings more recently. It was kind of inspired after I took your portrait course as well as your sketchbook challenge in the past year. And through the summer, I started using limited transportable art materials, and I was working on paper and people love these little sketches that I was doing, and I started selling them and like, okay, let's go down this route. And I was doing not people portraits, but wildlife portraits. And so that seems to be kind of resonating with people and within myself right now. I'm getting so frustrated with like shipping big pieces and like transporting them. So I feel like I just want to have some smaller pieces for now, and maybe work towards an exhibition or two later on in this new year and show some very colorful, vibrant, nature-loving pieces. Might go into landscapes a little bit more and connect with some of the people in my local community here, maybe some businesses, and do a mural or two. So that's kind of where I'm looking. wood carving's kind of taken a back seat burner for now.
Yeah, no, you have
That's
to just
okay.
honor what you're into
Yeah.
creatively, like what's calling to you, right?
Yeah, it's a matter of like what is I can love wood carving and I can put all my heart and soul, my time and energy and resources into that. But is it loving me back? Physically, it's so hard on the body. And so that's pretty hard. I would see sensory. I'm a very sensory person. So just the sensory noise and the sawdust on my skin, don't really love that part.
And that's okay.
That's okay. Yeah. So but the colorful paintings and just sharing my firsthand experiences from the wilderness and nature with the world, that seems to be really connecting with people. And that feels good. I'm feeling the love back right now, which is great.
Oh,
Yeah.
good for you. Where can everyone find you on social media, etc.?
Yeah. I'm on Instagram and Facebook, TikTok, and Michelle Thevenot artwork. My website's michellethevenot.com. And yeah, I post fairly frequently. Yeah, lots of
No, your
process
content's
videos.
fun. I
Yeah.
encourage everyone to check you out.
Oh,
You do a
thank
great job.
I also have a YouTube channel for some longer form videos as well. It's Michelle Thevenot artwork. But I would say I could post on there quite as much. It's just so much. Well, you probably know it's a lot of work to create video content, long form or.
YouTube content takes forever to make. Yeah. Yeah. I just put the podcast and I hire someone to do shorts, which they're
That's
just
great that you
taking
have a
from
team.
Instagram and they put it on YouTube for me. Because I can't. But maybe one day, I don't know. But yeah, I tried to do this fun little like challenge for YouTube and I only got like one video done out of 5. I was like, this is taking so long.
Yeah.
And yeah, so well, I don't know. Maybe I have to find the right person to create those videos for me or something. It takes a lot of time.
It's hard to spread yourself so thin across so many platforms. So it's like you pick your 2 favorite ones that really work for you and
that's it.
Yeah,
really. And really it's just one. And then the other one you're like kind of doing.
Just recycling stuff.
Yes. Well, perfect. It was so good to see and speak with you and finally meet you face to face. And next time I'm in your area, well, I'm in there in March for my opening on the 16th at Alt House. So
nice. Well, I will definitely check it out.
Yeah, it'll be fun. And you have one son, right?
Yeah. So if your kids are there, they're
not coming.
Oh, they're not. Okay.
They were coming. We actually booked the opening because we had a hockey tournament in Saskatoon and then it got canceled. So I'm actually kind of glad they're not coming because it's really hard to have them. I loved having them at my past openings, where they helped a lot. Well, they helped with this one piece a lot. Maybe I'll bring one of them, but usually they bug me. They're like, I want to go home or I want to do something else. Or
really
like, we can't leave the opening. So we'll see. Yeah, they did. I'm looking at it right now. It's the one with all the that I let the birthday party finish. Yeah. That's the main piece for the show. So they did technically help.
Maybe they can have a better time.
Yeah, they've had many openings that were revolved around them. So the guest series in particular was the cutest, best opening of all time. So, but I haven't had an opening for a long time that I could attend since 2018 or 19. I was pregnant with Teddy. So yeah, because we were all shut down. So
yeah, back in 2018, it was 2019, 20. It was during the COVID years. And I was like, I planned and organized my own first solo art show at a local art center, put it out there, and then it got shut down for COVID. I was just, so it wasn't really well attended. I
have a whole collection, my geometrics collection, which is very important that people see in real life, still here because no opening, that means no sales, right? So, because it's like gorgeous work that needs to be seen It's all shiny and epoxied and very cool pieces, and it'll happen one day. It just wasn't when I hoped.
Yes. Do you find it difficult to connect with galleries or exhibition spaces?
Some of that, I'm at the Assiniboia Gallery in Regina. I was represented by Rouge in Saskatoon, but they shut down. And I'm represented by a couple online galleries, but I would say like it usually happens myself. And then I have my own little gallery, BHA gallery, which I host at my sister's yoga studio. So my art always is hanging in there. And then that usually sells when I do a spring sale. So, and it's nice. And we host openings there too, because it's a gorgeous space and I'm not paying for it. And it's like, it's tough to give a gallery 50%. Like then you always have to do the math. Like I'm not going to make anything in that case. Usually I still will love to show through galleries, but it's important to promote yourself because you're working the hardest at that. Sure. No one's going to do it for you. The gallery is representing probably 30 or 40 other artists, right? So
where you share your work, people connect with you as the person, and like you're your best marketer, and you might as well pay yourself that 50% commission. You know what I mean?
Yeah, they do. They want to know you. They want to know why you made the work. Rarely do I sell painting and they're like, cool work. Who are you? I'm gonna get that. Yeah, like
it's the story, the person, and the energy behind it more so, I would say. Yeah, most of the work I've sold is directly through myself. Some galleries, I haven't had great luck with galleries. I mean, I've tried, and usually it's myself bringing people I know to the gallery and they buy it. So
almost every opportunity, it's yourself. Yeah, right. Everything, murals that come my way, it's because I put the energy for it or I asked for it. You know.
Yeah.
So
I guess that's another goal I have this year too, is I would like to plan and organize my own little art show somewhere and find a space that's not going to, you know, be completely out of the budget to get into. And
you can do it. You can do it. You'll find a great space, and why not, right?
Yeah, it's lots of plan, but as the circles are growing and people are more open to travel and go to these events now, it seems like they're a lot more eager to come and meet the artists. And
for sure. No, I love that. It's fun. It's fun to get out there and put yourself out there, and you don't need a gallery. You can what is it, the Thrive Together Network, which used to be Artist Mother. They started starting like a campaign, and it's called Taking Up Space. So working together with other women or groups and showing through them, or just setting up your own show. And that's how you take up space and make opportunities for yourself. It's a very great concept, and I feel like every creative should take it on and take the initiative to self-promote, because
absolutely, it feels
that's how you make it work.
Artists are just kind of being gate-kept, you know. That's like, oh, you have to wait to be chosen, and you have to wait to be
such a limiting
validated by these art professionals to say that you're good enough to show your art and sell it somewhere. But maybe it helps too if you find your own little collaborative group and be like, hey, let's do a show together and plan it. And we're all just independent artists.
There's so much growth and opportunity and community and collaboration.
Yeah.
It's important to find the right one, for sure.
Yeah. And thank you for creating your own little online community for the Color Me Happy. And it's a nice little pocket of like-minded artists out there.
Yeah, it's like our local community too. They're in there. I know they're sitting in there too, and they're rooting for you. And it's just such a good thing to find. Like, it's so important. It's such a big part of growth, is to find people who will root for you.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, you can have supporters. Like my husband's a great supporter. He hears all my art talk every day, and he's not an artist, and he gets so tired of it and doesn't know what to say.
What are you talking about now?
Yeah.
but he shows up and he still
Yeah.
does the stuff, right?
Yeah, for
He
sure.
installed your mural with you. My husband's the
Yeah.
same way. He's like, what are we doing now? Like, what is this? But he shows up anyway and does it all, and that's important. And yeah, that's very important in a partner, obviously.
Mhm.
If they're not, then rethink your partner.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah, right? Goes both ways, right? So
Yeah, for sure. I go to Oilers games and to now I'm on the ice for hockey practice, which I never thought would happen.
oh wow.
But I'm having a lot of fun.
Yeah.
Obviously not with the older kids. They're better than me. And I wouldn't know what I'm doing. And so, but with the younger kids, it's just playing games. I'm really good at that. So it's fun. It's good. It's a good balance. I love balancing motherhood and family life with a creative career and having the freedom to do so. So
Yeah.
we are very I'm getting tired. We're very lucky that I'm grateful for the creative life that you fight for and you're stubborn about having, and that you have built, like it grows over time and grows into a really beautiful thing. And I think that's important and people can follow their passion, and it is possible.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Especially now, like I mentioned a little bit before, but like the arts business for me is still just a part-time thing. At times during COVID, it's full-time, or in a mural project, it's full-time. But I'm still managing a construction company with my husband, and
that's okay.
And it's we make it both work. It's diversified income streams. It's like maybe my passion is not office work and payroll, but I'm good at it, and we can make it work. And then weave in the artwork as I can in my life and be flexible with it. So
good for you. Yeah, it's nothing to be ashamed about. That's how you make it work, and it's working. So, and you do the things that you love. I think that's a really great trade-off. Like everything sucks a little bit some of the time, but mostly if you're moving towards your goals, you don't care about the sucky stuff.
Yeah.
At all. You're like, oh, that's just something I do, and it's part of the good thing I do. So I actually kind of like it.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah.
Okay, I gotta go. I gotta eat something.
Okay.
I gotta eat something.
It's been great, Brandy.
I'm so glad to see you, and I know we'll meet in person very soon. And I'll let you know when this is up.
Sounds good. I look forward to seeing you at your show in March. And let's keep in touch.
Thanks for taking the time to sit down today.
Okay.
See you, Michelle.
See you.
Please know that you can always reach out at Brandy Hofer Studios on Instagram anytime, and be sure to check us out on YouTube at Brandy Hofer Studios Color Me Happy, where we are now pouring a lot of free tips and a lot of fun information and every one of our podcasts on there. We also have our book, Color Me Happy, See Your Everyday Ordinary as Extraordinary, and our Color Me Happy community on Facebook, which is free to join, where we uplift members and we do member features as well as features our members on our Color Me Happy podcast. We can't wait to hear from you. Please share everything you're working on, and feel free to post in our Color Me Happy community any of your process shots or any questions you have for the group. We're happy to answer them in there as well. And we thank you so much for your time today. We sure do appreciate it. And have the most beautiful day. Thank you so much for being here. If you're looking for some time for yourself to relax, release, and unwind, Oasis has the perfect space for you. They offer yoga and spin classes of all levels. Whether you are a beginner or advanced student, Oasis thrives on accommodating all aspects of the practice. Let their serene environment and gracious staff help you in your journey of peace, healing, and strength. Sign up online at www.oasishotyogastudio.com or by downloading the Oasis Hot Yoga Studio app. Feel like yourself. You deserve it. Thank you so much to our supporters and our community partners. We could not do this podcast and outreach and projects in our community without you. That is Red Bicycle Communications. They are so amazing. They uplift in so many ways in our community. Jill started her business and she talks about it on the podcast. So Jill Kelly, check out that first episode. She's come on a few times and empowered others along the way. So she's grown her own business and her vision, and she was even featured in the Toronto Star, I believe. Is that the right newspaper? Hopefully. It was very cool. It was a very cool business feature because she was like, I'm going to try this out in my community and we'll see if it works, and if it doesn't. And obviously it's been like probably more than a decade since, and they're doing really well, and they have founded the Women in Business Awards. So I'm very proud to be a partner with them. We have Nouveau Laser and Aesthetic Center. I love them so much. They make me feel good in my own skin. It's one of my biggest touch points and what I'm most self-conscious about. And I recently have been starting to get some of my tattoos removed that I got when I was 16 and 19. So obviously I didn't think those through, but it doesn't hurt, which was very cool and very surprising. So they are the only people locally who do tattoo removal, and of course, face treatments and a whole bunch of another like laser hair removal and an array of, you can do injections and a whole bunch of stuff. So check Nouveau out. We also have BioClean Disaster Services. They're so wonderful, and their mission is, I love their mission statements and their values. It's to uplift community through women and children. So what happened, and I remember talking to them about this when we initially partnered, is what happens when you empower females is they live a better life, and if they have children, then they raise better children, and that is the way that to empower community and growth and I guess like challenge the poverty cycle in a way. So so I love talking to them about that, and in our initial conversations of when they became a partner, and they have helped us along the way with mural washing and a lot of different projects around the city. So I love them so much, and they do a wonderful job because, I mean, it's for usually, like if your basement got a flood for some strange reason, like that's your most vulnerable time in your life, and they're there for you to help you through and ease any situation or help you in any way, because that is like when stuff like that happens, it's so like it's so frustrating. So they support people in that journey. And then we have Oasis and Hot Yoga Spin Studio, safe space for you to rest your mind and gain more energy and come back to yourself again. So I love it there. It's always been, it's a beautiful space. They have gorgeous plants, and it'll just refresh you and revitalize you. We're so lucky to have them in our community. Thank you so much for being here, and we will chat with you soon, my friends.